So what do? You walk into your garden, it's been a couple days since you've been able to be in there, and oh my gosh, look at your seedlings or young veg plants, or really any size plants. You guys know how it is. You look at your plants and you're like, oh my gosh, they're all drooping. Why are they drooping? Well, that's what we're going to talk about today, and we're going to talk about how to fix it. So without further ado, let's get right into it. When you're talking about troubleshooting plants, a lot of things can mean a lot of things, meaning if a plant has a problem, a lot of the time in cannabis growing, you will find that problem could be a lot of different factors, but the one I've been seeing the most is drooping plants, and fortunately for both of us, this is a very easy problem to fix. Now, what you're going to want to do is you're going to want to go into your garden, especially if it's been a couple of days since you've been in. You're going to want to be clean, you're going to want to be taken care of, and you're going to want to be vigilant. It's very important to keep an eye on your plant's health, and if they are drooping, the first thing you're going to want to do to troubleshoot your plant is you're going to want to go up to the plant and look at its pot. You're going to want to feel it, you're going to want to put your finger in the soil or soilless medium, and you're going to want to see if it is dry. And if it is, what is most likely happening is that your plant is underwatered and it is being depleted of the water that it needs and the nutrients that it needs to stand up very strong and very tall towards your light and be absorbing the photons it needs, because it simply no longer has the energy. It has been depleted. Now, what a lot of people could get caught up on, as I have, and I'm sure you have as well, is that cannabis plants need a dry period, but this dry period needs to be very calculated. It needs to be very planned out. Now, the time to water is around when your pot is 25 to 50% moisture or weight, depending on how you go about that. And a general rule of thumb for watering is if you stick your finger in the soil and it's bone dry past the first knuckle, that's when you're going to want to water, because you're going to want to get those microbes moving up and going, and you're going to want to get water inside of that plant so it continues to grow at a good rate. And what you will find is if you water your plant at this state, if you're using peat moss, you could have it dry to the point where it's contracting and coming off of the walls of the pot itself. This is normal if you underwater or water too infrequently, which is what underwatering means. Overwatering is watering too frequently or putting too much water in too big of a pot, and underwatering is simply not watering often enough. And the peat moss will become hydrophobic, so you're going to want to slowly work that water in, maybe create a little bit of a divot as a center ring to hold the water more, kind of like a moat effect, to give it a mold for this practice right here. And it will start to absorb the water over a little bit of time. But if you're using soil, it could very easily become too dry, because if you're using living soil or organic soil, you need to keep it a little bit more moist than you would need to keep a peat moss, to keep everything working and in order and everything going smoothly. So to recap, what you're going to find when your plant is droopy, all you're going to need to do is water it or feed it based on your schedule, and it will perk up in a couple of hours. Now, if something else is happening, there are other things you could do to solve the problem, but unfortunately, I'm not covering those in this video today. But if you hit subscribe, you will be notified if I do upload a video addressing other problems that come with a droop.